Hi, everybody, and welcome to Interesting AF or Interesting as Fuck, depending
Hey.
on how you feel this week. Because this week in the U.S. is I don't want to say rougher. I think we're all thinking about different things and how we operate in the world, and maybe gratitude, thankfulness. Is that what the word is? I don't know.
Yeah.
Thankfulness. I was going to say thankfulity, and I was like, that's not. That's definitely not a word.
Whatever. Just make it up at this point.
Whatever.
I don't
Yeah.
care.
I mean, yeah. Who cares?
I'm
We're
feeling as fuck this week.
right as fuck. I think that's perfect. I mean, there's too much news. There's too much
Yeah.
crap. I'm sorry. I still cannot get over. I don't know if the story that I mean, this has complete tangent, but also about
Sure.
water. That Iran is running out of water, and they want to evacuate Tehran.
What?
Yeah, it's that bad. So it's been 5 years of. So it's like a combo of things that are happening at the same time, where Iran has been going through like a 5-year long drought, exacerbated from climate change, right? So all these things are
Of course.
changing. And policy obviously always has a hand. Remember, like we talked last week, politics matters in everything.
Every
All of it.
aspect of your life.
Even the water you drink, people, even the
Oh,
water
yeah.
you drink.
Especially the
And
water you drink.
especially the water you drink. And so basically there was like a crazy plan to try to evacuate Tehran because they have no water. They're gonna run
That's
out.
fucking insane.
10 million people, Elaine. 10 million. And I didn't get a chance to Google this because I'm still like processing the article that I read. But basically they have to. I don't think we've ever evacuated people because of not war
Right.
or
Right.
like a
Or
natural
like a natural
disaster.
disaster or something.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That'd
And
be an
speaking,
interesting thing to Google.
I know.
Or
But
a man-made disaster if you think about Chernobyl, right? That's the only thing
fair.
that kind of pops into my head.
That's
But
true.
resources. I think what your resources, like lack
Yeah.
of resources being a reason. Like that's some fucking like interstellar shit right there.
Oh, 100%. And like, hey, why did the Mayans kind of flee their civilization? Was it because of water, right? Like that's one of the
Yeah.
big mysteries of the world. But I think this gets us into a nice segue because we will be going. This is our Doc is in
Under
episode
the sea. Sorry.
Under the Sea. Um Now forever like Ariel with this horrific documentary. And I mean the horrific.
Horrific.
Elaine had warned me ahead of time. So the documentary is called Into the Deep, and it's essentially about the murder of the journalist Kim Wall. And I think I'll open us up with this quote because I think it was very indicative of kind of everything. And it's one of the guy's interns that he said, one of the people said, the ocean, she would not keep the secret. And I think that was the best way to think about this in a way, because I sort of don't want to call him by his name because it's just horrible.
We don't have to.
We don't, I don't,
Let's not do it. Let's not give it to him.
let's not
And
give
that
it to him.
ties into one of my points that I'll bring up later. Not a point, but like a mention that I'm going to throw in there involved with this case.
Yeah. And so this was what, an hour and a half? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was just under an hour and a half.
But everybody, I watched it in one sitting. As everybody knows, if you've been following us, I cannot manage watching these types of.
That's why I was like, I want you to really consider this one because this one may not be Linda approved, but the way that they do this documentary, I think, is very good, very fascinating. But yeah, I don't want to say I'm proud of you because this is so like there's nothing to be proud of with this case, but I'm proud of you because you stomached it because it's
Because I thought it was, and I think it's much more about me doing it for her
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
You know, and I wanted to know what happened to her, and I think we've seen and heard about the story. I think it was such major news, linked to the person and all that, and we can go into what the premise is essentially of
Yeah.
the murder, because I think the more interesting part of it is, like you said, the way they tell the story, because the telling of the story, I think, is what makes it's kind of like a true crime slash emotional slash Law and Order type documentary, which with a real story and following it's because you feel like you're following in real time. So I think that's the key. But I know, if Lane, if you want to talk us through like what the documentary was about. I mean, I think a lot of people have heard it, but maybe some haven't.
Yeah. So, as Linda mentioned, we watched Into the Deep, the submarine murder case. Um, this came out in 2020, but the case happened, I believe, in 2017. Like the murder actually happened in 2017, and this is a man who, like, kind of this the reason we went here is because of our Titan documentary, right? And Stockton Rush, and just these kind of madmen who are, in one sense, brilliant, in another sense, just unchecked, rich, and egotistical, narcissistic. And I feel like this is another one of those examples. This is a guy who didn't even have an engineering degree, but was able to afford the best engineers to come work for him because he wanted to make his own submarines and launch himself into space, if that sounds familiar to anybody. And he was going to stop at nothing to do it. The difference between Stockton Rush and this man, excuse me, this piece of shit, um, was Stockton Rush killed people because of his ego. And I'm comparing these two. There isn't one is not better than the other. That's for fucking sure. They both are terrible fucking human beings. But there is a difference in the motivation, I think. Like Stockton Rush was literally going to stop at nothing. He had too much money involved. His ego was too big. He thought he was the smartest man in the room. This guy also thinks he's the smartest man in the room, but he clearly had very, very disturbing and premeditated um, proclivities. Maybe that's the word I'll use. Uh, he murders Kim Wall in this submarine submersible that he had built. But he didn't just murder her. He bound her, raped her, mutilated her body. Like it's
Tortured her as well, right? I think.
torture. Like, sorry, we should have put a trigger warning at the beginning of this, or maybe we'll.
I'll put it in I'll put it in the chat,
And I think
as
we
in
trigger
the
warnings.
description.
Yeah, we trigger warninged it in the last episode, but we will throw a trigger warning at the front, because it's just like it's horrible to think about what this poor woman went through. And the only reason it was her is because this guy was going to do it to the next woman in that submarine. And he already had a backup plan if it didn't happen with this woman. That poor fucking employee who got text messages that almost word for word played out exactly what happened in that submarine. He had been, like, she thought, jokingly sending her those messages, or like flirting, which, by the way, for that to be your boss sending you any text messages like that is unbelievably inappropriate. And this is like, I'm not blaming her at all for not reporting it, but like there is zero semblance of any of those text messages that are appropriate. Um,
Zero.
for a friend to send you, let alone your fucking boss. Um, and this documentary was super interesting because the documentarian was already there to make a documentary about this guy and the company and this submarine that he had built. And so one of the most, and it's like right from the get-go, like the chilling thing for me is like watching his team learn about this in real time and like having to come to recognize that they worked for a fucking madman. Like, it's horrible.
Horrible. And I have to say, I found it interesting, and this is not me bashing on anybody, that the men got there much faster than the one woman that he supposedly was her backup plan. She had more of a, I want to give him a benefit of the doubt. Like the men, I
Yeah.
feel like, and I don't know if it's because they knew something, and like, she really saw him as a mentor, but they saw him as a boss. Like there was a little bit more distance in how they saw it, but like the second they were like she disappeared, they couldn't find her. You see them go, like they don't say it out loud, but it feels like they're like he did something. Like and
Yeah.
that I found the biggest, like the more interesting twist to this, that I think the woman had a more personal connection to the guy, and that was probably by design, right? I think he wanted to go, trust me, so he would do whatever he wanted down in the submarine. Um and I think why I could do the whole thing also was the way the documentary interspaced present and
Yes.
future.
I love that. And I know there's a prompt, but I feel like I would have been able to follow it even without the prompts.
Yeah, exactly. And I really kind of love that. And I think that and the murder was in 2017, but this got released in 2020 because the footage was used in the trial.
In the trial.
In the
And
fucking trial.
I'm glad it didn't come out till 2020 because that means we get the resolution from the trial. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like we get the entire story, because everybody wants that moment of being like, please tell me this fucking, like, justice was served, please. And
100%.
yeah, so like I knew about the case before this
Same.
documentary. I think a lot of people did, and so it's really to me this one is just really well done. One, because she had an all access pass to this guy from the get-go, and the fact that his conviction is thanks to, in part, a lot of oh my gosh, the filming and footage, the footage that they were taking during the filming of this documentary. Like it's crazy. Um, I think,
And
to your earlier point with the female employee who used the like digital changing of her face
yes.
for her
Yep.
protection, which is so creepy, and I feel for her so much. To me, that's almost like protectionism of herself, of like her own, like where her head would go. I cannot imagine. And like they didn't know what happened, right? Like
No.
I
Yeah,
agree with
yeah.
you. A lot of the men came to that conclusion beforehand because like what's the other option? Where else would she be? Why would you drop her off in the middle of nowhere and then return without her? Like, what do you mean you don't know where she is? That's shady as fuck. But then
Exactly.
I would not want my brain to go. It would, but I would not want my brain to go, holy shit, she's missing. He literally texted me about binding me and murdering me and chopping up my body in the submarine, and that he had a murder plan. He texted that to me. Like, it would, to me, like, I feel like that was a survivalist thing where like you just can't. I don't know that I would let my brain fully go there even for the trial, right? Like the documentary was trying to talk her into
Sharing
testifying,
the info. Yeah.
which is like I can't remember if she does or not because I don't.
She does, but in a
She does.
separate room, and she's anonymized.
Exactly.
So like they
Exactly.
never, like in the trial, didn't know. And I think even in the
You have to
documentary,
protect people like that. You have to
yeah.
protect witnesses like that. Like,
And then I think even the documentary, she's
yeah.
like, it's not her real name, I don't think. So
No,
like
no.
I think they used a name like Sarah or something, like something
Yeah.
very, very
Generic.
like
Popular.
generic. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think I found that dynamic very interesting because of that. Because
Yeah.
women sometimes are forced to be in situations where like they they need to not think about their survive like yeah, like in the sense of like their safety. Like society constantly tells them, "No, you're safe. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine." And it's really hard to override
But also
that.
be nice to everybody.
Yeah,
Politeness,
smile.
smile more. Like I there's a poster hanging I framed it in my closet from I've mentioned them before, but I think I've mentioned this before, like one of my favorite podcasts, outside of this one, of course, from My Favorite Murder. I have a poster that just says, fuck politeness. And I have another one that says, here's the thing, fuck everyone. Like, fuck politeness. Ask for forgiveness later if you were wrong to like if your spidey senses are tingling, guess what? Women are better with intuition. Protect yourself, ask for forgiveness later, but also it is okay to say, I'm sorry, you made me uncomfortable, so I didn't go on the date, or I crossed the street because your behavior led me to not be comfortable. Like, fuck politeness.
Yeah.
Fuck politeness.
Fuck politeness, and also I think to your point, right? Men are less like less conditioned by society
Of
to be
course.
polite, to say,
To be more
"Oh, you."
submissive and nice.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
oh, you're going to hurt their feelings. I don't give a fuck
Yeah.
about your feelings.
Don't
Fuck
give
your
a
feelings.
fuck about your feelings. And like this concept of like women making shit up,
Oh
even
my
when we have
God.
fucking text messages.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so I think to me was like a great indication of like the difference between men and women when it comes to viewing other women or viewing other men in these types of situations. I think we're so conditioned in a way to see, the worst in one versus the other and like
Yeah.
giving the benefit of the doubt to like one over the other. I think there are a couple of you know, things that like really come out at me. And, one was him saying, in a submarine, you're safe when you're submerged. I was like, you motherfucker.
Mhm.
Absolute motherfucker. You were already planning this. You were
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you were fucking, you were
The
fucking,
premeditation is unfucking believable. He canceled the trip that Friday
yep,
because he knew he was going to claim that something went wrong with the submarine. Like,
yep,
he brought the saw on board with him. He brought and those moments are chilling in the film oh my God,
yep,
I almost said it again, in the footage,
yeah,
which again is probably what helped convict him and send him to prison for life, is to show the premeditation. Like, the saw with the orange handle is
yes,
there that morning, but it is not there in the afternoon, and it was replaced by a different saw. He's
yep,
holding that metal pipe, like,
mm-hmm.
and then they talk about what they found in the submarine. It is like,
And
it
how
is
he changed his story and how he didn't want to say what his motivation
story.
was.
Yeah, and like all of the little things that were inlaid, like the footage of him putting a camera in a hotel room where no one would see
Yes.
it, the gaslighting of him saying hack you to death. He's like, no, I said hug you to death. Like, those little things are insane. And the way that she threaded together like his mental downfall, like
Yeah.
just the kind of spiral into madness, I thought was incredibly well done.
Yeah, and
Um,
is it more of a spiral into madness or more that like the more she talked to him, the more he like came out? Because at
yeah,
some
I mean,
point, yeah, like you
that's a good
hide
point.
like I'm assuming you hide things, right? And you go because the more and more like he seems like a guy that loves to listen to himself talk,
Ugh,
right? He
you
just
don't say.
loved it. And I think, eventually like you run out of shit to say. So like, the
Right.
veneer of whatever like thought process you have kind of goes away to be like, oh well, it doesn't matter what I say now type of thing.
There's
And
also that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna go on the like the day of the murder with the fucking like how she ends the documentary. She ends the documentary with him talking on the morning of the fucking murder and him having a kind of thought like a quote unquote theory about psychopaths.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then he says that day he goes, "I'm not going to say anything today." And then he like ends with psychopaths. Like, what if I'm a psychopath? But how would I know it? And I'm like, you fucking artist, you just told us you're a psychopath. You psychopath. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, you mother. Like, I was just like, and the thing that gets me the most is the motivation. Like, he doesn't actually say why he did it, right? Even in the trial, he's like, why should I tell you what my motivation was? Because it
I think
didn't
it was just
matter.
like an addiction to sadistic. I mean, they found all that terrible
Well, yeah,
videos and
footage,
porn on his
yeah,
computer, like, and again, that's not an excuse. I think he had a terribly sadistic mind
yeah,
and seemed to be like one of those just depraved, but also like narcissistic pieces of shit, pure psychopath. One of the ones that I think is absolutely crazy is footage again from the morning of where he's just in that chair staring off kind of into the distance. And
yeah.
at first you might think like I'd love to know what he's thinking about, but by that point you already know how premeditated this was. Like he knows exactly what he's about to do.
Hmm.
And I just but because he's a psychopath, like, is he thinking about it? Is he playing it through in his head? Is he literally thinking of nothing because he's fucking crazy? Like, it's just, oh my God, it's so chilling. And my favorite kind of documentaries are just like, there's no narration, there's no reenactment, just testimonial to camera or footage. So like there's another documentary on Netflix that just came out that I do not think we will cover because it's again like it's just not Linda approved, but it's called The Perfect Neighbor. And the only footage you see, it just came out like last month. It is wow. Wow. It is only police body cam. That is the only footage. That is how this entire story is told. It
Wow.
is fascinating, terrible, but like those Dateline, great example, right? Like yes, they narrate a bit of the story, but it's just like person to person interviewing, true documentarian type of display. So like the way this was put together, I think the interviewing, like the footage is just, that's my favorite kind of storytelling. And even with like the darkest of things, like I think she just did such an incredible job of telling that story. It's such a horrific story. There are two other, one's a documentary and one's a show I'll mention. So HBO also had a documentary about this. That one is called Undercurrent, The Disappearance of Kim Wall. That came out in 2022. That's a two-part series. That one, I think what adds, it might be on Hulu actually, Hulu and HBO Max. That one was super interesting. And so because you made it through this one, Linda, I might recommend you watch this one in
All right.
pieces if you need to. But this one was really interesting because there was some more like science parts of the investigation. Like it shows how the investigators like mapped out currents to find certain
Mm,
things, including her body, her cell phone, all of this different stuff. Um, so there's more to the investigation part in the Undercurrent one. Uh, on the investigation, HBO Max did a fantastic show called The Investigation. Um, it is in what language is it in? I'm
Danish.
blanking. Yeah, yeah, sorry. It is in Danish, so it's in subtitles, but similar to what we're doing, and like I feel like we're taking a note from this, even though you have not watched it. I did mention this to you. The investigation is purely about just that, the investigation. It's the main characters are the prosecuting attorney and the lead investigator and the detectives and Kim Wall's family. So this is like a scripted, casted show. They do not once mention this asshole's name, and they don't even cast anyone to play him. And that was not lost on me when I watched it, where I was like, this is so well done. And it's very, it's Scandinavian, so it's dark in terms of like
The
the
lighting and all that.
weather and like the lighting, but also like that cozy what's it called? It's
It's
HYG. Haga
exit.
is like
Hey, go,
that cozy,
yeah.
like, for such a terrible story, you still get that like Scandinavian, like you want to be in a hut with a wood burning fire stove, whatever. It's incredibly well done. So if you're, I'm not saying you need to do an onslaught of all of these back to back to back. That's too much, but it is. I just want to give a shout out to this other documentary and then this show, because I just thought the show was incredibly well done in telling such a devastating story. And you would have, having watched this documentary and this documentary being such a huge part of that investigation, it's just kind of couldn't go without saying those two things. So
Yeah, and I think to a certain degree, like this one was trying to figure out the motivation of such a senseless crime, because it doesn't make
yes,
like, it's not that it doesn't make sense. Like, and I think I was talking to somebody, was it my therapist? I don't remember. Like motivation, like why I get so like emotional about these types of like watching these stories about these like about genocides, about really things where people just do this abject senseless crap just because there's
yeah,
no reason to kill anybody because of what they believe in, who they are. Like there's
yeah,
no reason apart from you wanting power over
yep,
something. And to me, I think this was more of a distillation of understanding violence against women in these types of settings, right? In the sense that, was he doing it for the power play? Was he
male
doing it
violence. I've
male
stopped.
violence?
I've stopped using phrases like violence
Yes.
against women, because
Yes.
this is we're going to talk about this on our next regular.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
Male violence.
like I'm done with women always being in the headline.
Yes.
Woman
Agreed.
wasn't sexually like, yes, a woman was sexually assaulted, but man sexually assaults someone. Like
Woman.
it's the
Yeah. Whoever.
men. The women are the victims 99% of the time. Okay,
Yeah.
let's fucking change that narrative. Let's
A
fucking
hundred
stop.
percent.
Stop
A
asking
hundred
the
percent.
question, well, why didn't she report it earlier? Because of all of the shit like this. That's why. That's fucking why. Stop asking that fucking question. It's always our fault. Woman
Always.
sexually assaulted. Woman walking late at night, murdered. Oh, so it's her fucking fault for
No,
trying to
man.
just exist. For
Yeah.
trying to fucking exist. Fuck you. Fuck politeness. I'm done. Done.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that also, struck me was that he wanted to murder somebody he knew, right? He knew Kim
Yeah.
Wall. Kim Wall was like an apartment away from him, right? If I understand correctly.
Yes, and I think they had conversed a couple times in like anticipation of this
Of the
ride. Like,
interview where she was wanted to
well,
write an interview about him, right? Or it was his
yeah,
intern, or it was maybe the documentary filmmaker who's going to take
right.
down. Like
Ooh,
he
when
wa-
he stares at her, when she's putting the microphone on, the way he stares.
yes.
Whew,
I was like,
whew.
girl, you in danger, girl. I was
You,
like,
well, you in danger, girl.
you in danger, girl. And so I think, that's also something that like struck me, right? It
Yeah.
like in the sense that he can be like, he put himself as like a psychopath, but like also like you wanted to know these people. You wanted to
Yeah, which
take
is another level.
you wanted to hurt somebody you knew, which
Yeah.
I'm wondering, and this is, and I think people, and again, not to excuse things or anything, but like he was kicked out of his project, right? Or the original project that he was part of. And I think that's where it
Because
might
they were
have
like,
struck.
you're not a fucking engineer, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Like they had a reason why to kick him out, right? But he thought the project was his, and how dare they?
Yep.
And this, male violence always somehow, for some reason, starts out with a man like being kicked out of something and thinking,
Or being told no.
I rightfully own XYZ, and so I'm going to take it out on this innocent woman.
Stockton Rush.
Yeah. I mean,
This is
he, you know, and Stockton Rush, I feel like it was like megalomaniac, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
he had like more of a
Egomaniac. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
penchant for, you know, being
Being
famous.
right and
Being
being
right and
famous.
being famous. And it didn't
Yeah.
matter the person. I think this dude wanted to have
100%.
he wanted to take some, you know, and I think when somebody says this, he said he wanted to feel how it was to remove someone's life. And I think it was one of the interns that said that. And I agree with that statement. I think he was
Yeah.
like, he just was like, I want to like, and I'm wondering if he was like, I wanted to feel something, right? Like it's like so fucked up. Where
So
like,
fucked up.
why? Like, go to fucking therapy, you asshole. Like, go
Can't do
deal with
that.
it. Like,
Can't do that.
it was just like so, and just as much as like people shit on America, Europeans have zero sense of mental health, and I mean zero. And yes, their lives are, a lot more balanced and stuff, but dude, they're repressed as fuck and they do not talk about things.
Mhm.
And I truly think Americans do a much better job around mental health. Yes, there's problems and we have to do things.
Of course.
But therapy, psychotherapy, psychiatry, of course, extremes, right? I think there's some arguments to be said around, too much over medication or we can have that, discussion later. But Europeans don't have that culture of, you know what, I'm not doing well. Maybe I should go to therapy.
Interesting.
You should have gone to fucking therapy.
Should have gone to fucking therapy. I was listening to a podcast talking about Mary Shelley and Frankenstein. And this quote came up, and I thought it was so relevant for Stockton Rush, for this guy. And, obviously, you and I are both married to men. Like, we do not categorize this to everyone. There are good men in the world. There are.
My husband, TBD. There are some arguments. He told my daughter to smile the other day, and I went on a 25-minute
wrong answer.
Wrong answer. It was like, oops.
But this quote from Mary Shelley's biographer, Charlotte Gordon, I heard it. It came out. I literally pulled off the road to be like, I have to write this down.
Write this down.
And look it up later and make sure I wrote it down correctly and making sure I'm crediting the right person, because for a minute I thought it was actually Mary Shelley who said this. Anyway, so her biographer, Charlotte Gordon, she's using this to talk about Dr. Frankenstein specifically, but you tell me this doesn't apply to too many things these days. Unchecked male ambition will wreak havoc on the world.
100%.
I want it on a fucking t-shirt.
Yeah, that's a great t-shirt. And I think it is to the story about Mary Shelley, right? Mary Shelley wrote this book at fucking 19. And they were like, oh, a woman can't write this. And you're like, fuck off. Like, fuck off. Why would a man be able to?
Yep.
Like, I don't ever think we always ask, why could a woman do this? Why aren't we asking, why can a man do this?
Yep. We birth the world. None of y'all would fucking exist without us. I'm going to keep saying it.
100%, right? For those who want to give children, who want to give birth, we're not.
Yes, of course.
Do whatever you want.
None of us would exist without women.
Exactly.
No one on this planet would exist without coming from a woman.
And I told you that, I think, was it the quote? Yeah, I sent you that quote, and it was from a reel, and I don't know where the quote comes from, but they said, because man created excuse me, man created God because man realized yes, man realized woman creates man. That's why man created God.
Yep.
Which I'm like, motherfucker.
Yep.
Which
man recreates dinosaur eats man, women inherit the earth.
Exactly. I'd be down. I'd be down. Life
finds a way.
That it does. I read the other day that Jeff Goldblum in LAX, helped somebody talk through TSA a cactus that was for somebody's mom.
God, he's a national treasure.
He is a national treasure. Like, those are the kinds of people that, like, if Jeff Goldblum, Steve Martin, who else?
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. Those, if there were any allegations against those three, of course I would believe women, but it would hurt. Like, even though I don't know them, like, I don't know them at all, but like that would hurt.
They've been like staples and, you know, landmarks throughout our entire lives.
Yeah, and I think that's
especially, but
yeah, I'm gonna see it. I hopefully I'll meet him on Monday.
Yes. Damn, girl, that's right.
Finally, a celebrity.
Yes. Those count. Those sightings count.
We'll take a picture with him.
Do it. That's right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that. That's so good.
I will let you know. And so to that point, I think it's a great, and I think that's, to me, the biggest thing about this documentary. These women trusted him.
Yep.
They trusted him to their detriment.
Yes.
And I will say this, I have a pretty good creep radar. Like, I have a pretty good one. At first, I wasn't like, oh, this dude's a creep. Like, he killed somebody. Like, I had to do that. I had to go, you know what he did. What's wrong? Like, I just, also that part of me was interesting, because I think, which comes back to the title, it's about the deep. And this guy had this stuff so well hidden.
Yep.
That he tried to keep it well hidden, just like he tried to hide the body, just like he tried to he sank his own submarine that he spent tons of time to work on, and it just didn't work.
I had a similar thought, not in the same way you processed it, but mine was more, if I worked for him, when this all comes out, would I be able to say, we should have seen that coming? I'm not entirely sure that we would have, based on watching some of his, just, if you're just there from the 9 to 5 or, whatever the workday is there, like, obviously he's putting video cameras in hotel rooms and plotting a fucking horrific murder, but is he bringing that to work? I don't know. Unless you're getting those horrible text messages. I had that same question where I was like, based on what we see of this man in the documentary footage that this filmmaker was making, would I have ever suspected that he was capable of doing something like this? I don't know. It's the Ayn Rand, right? Oh my gosh, I've just forgot the name of her book, which I've read several times. It's not The Stranger Beside Me.
Yes.
I almost said The Evil Beside Me, but that's not, about Ted Bundy. Like, it's, you fall into that where you're like, God damn, but that's what a true psychopath is able to do.
Yeah. And that's, I think, to me, that's why that struck me, that the men got there faster.
Yeah.
And the women were much more like, and again, not blaming anybody. I just found that like that just juxtaposition of it very interesting. Like, in the sense that men know, it's to a certain degree, what is male's responsibility to go, hey, this dude's a creep. Yeah, maybe don't do this. And I will say,
women to be nice to everybody and start teaching men how to pick up on things to protect others. How about that?
Exactly. And I had a horrible realization about, everybody knows I read a ton of smut, but I also read a lot of other things. I'm currently reading a book called Priest Daddy, which is so good, about a woman's father who was ordained as a Catholic priest after he was married and had kids. Very fascinating. Patricia Lockwood, Priest Daddy. Read it if you have time.
Priest Daddy,
which I thought, because she has like a kind of, anyway, that's enough for another episode. I think there's a concept in the trope about like protection, like the
Mhm.
male character protect like is like will destroy the world if somebody like quote unquote will destroy the world for a woman, and I find that that is such an interesting trope, and how women react to it is because men don't protect us.
Yes. One of my favorite memes these days is like, if women or if men didn't exist, who would protect you? And someone responds, from who? Who
Yeah,
would we need protecting from then? Like,
the
this
bear,
is
you
why
idiots.
this is why we picked the bear.
Yep, this is why we picked the pair. And I think that's like the crazy ass realization for me was like that's why, and I shared it with a friend of mine who also reads smut, and she was like, "Why did you do this to me?" I was like, "I'm sorry. I had to tell somebody. It was in my brain." And then she was like, "Yeah, of course it is." No, like it's so wild how I don't think women realize that to a certain degree. Like other women protect us more
Yes.
than men do.
And
And
we protect
I
ourselves.
yes, and we protect ourselves, which, I personally think is an interesting segue for the next episode that we're gonna
Oh yes. No, I love that we're like, man,
that
our
we're
blood is starting to boil, which is gonna be
boil.
fitting.
We're raising the temperature a
Tell
little
us
bit.
what we're
So
doing, Linda, because
yes.
I need to like take a chill pill.
Yeah, you take deep breaths. It'll be good. But thanks for our, kind of view of this. Into the Deep is a very good documentary. If for nothing else, Linda
I need
watched it in one
yes,
sitting.
and I need your what the fuck meter.
And so what the fuck meter is a 25. Like I
Uh,
don't like I
damn.
just like I was just screaming and going, "What the fuck is wrong with like what the like I yeah. Yeah, blood boiling in one way about how people hurt, but that was my what the fuck meter because there was first of all the what the fuck meter in the sense that I watched it in one sitting. That I didn't shy away from it, right? I didn't go, I'm gonna walk away. And I think to a certain degree I did it, you know, I did it because I wanted to know what happened to her,
Yeah. Yeah.
to Kim. And it's just a piece of shit guy. And I just also wanted to make sure that he got justice, like that she got justice, right? And he got justice served. Um,
Yes.
and I think that's kind of my where I'm sitting with this one.
I think that's
Yeah,
fair.
but and I think we should, it should we would be remiss to say that her family has set up a foundation in her honor, with scholarships. I believe, and I might be wrong, but I'll double check. But it's for aspiring journalists, um, to because she was a freelance journalist. She did a lot of pieces, and her pieces are on the website. If you look up Kim Wall Foundation,
She worked for Wired.
yeah,
Yep.
she worked for Wired. Had a lot of
At the
also
time.
that. Yeah, I think this article was going to be for Wired, right?
Yes.
And she's done a lot of pieces, did a lot of pieces, very well written, like a real, a real journalist in the sense of like looking for the truth and understanding people and understanding society is what I got from it. So I think reading some of her articles will give you a little bit more of a flavor of her. But if you're an aspiring journalist, take a look at that. And yeah, let's think more critically about men that seem to be geniuses, but in the end, just fucking hurt people
Yep.
in different ways. And to that end, I'm going to roll us into, our next episode, which is going to be,
Oh God.
all right, take a deep breath. Our next episode will be about, I think there's a we're relitigating.
Litigation.
Yeah, relitigation of women either in the workplace or in society and what their roles are. And I think we have this conversation that's happening in society. And I think that the core piece of our next episode is going to be around this article slash podcast from New York Times, from the New York Times called Interesting Times. I forgot what the fucking host is. I don't really care.
Not worth
But
it. Let's not
a
name him
couple
either.
yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I want to say like almost a month ago, did an episode about 2 books or 2 essays around females and females in the workplace and females in society, or women, whichever you want to say. And so, yeah, so we are going to be talking about that next episode. Elaine, is blood is boiling. Mine is just constantly at a simmer about the shit. So maybe I'm like, it's like that. It's like I'm the lobster being boiled slowly, but like Elaine knows and I don't. And I'm just like reading shit and I'm like going to boil to death and I don't know about it. But Elaine like fully knows about it. So yeah, we're going to do that episode next. So, hang out and tell us, next week what you think. But, and also don't forget our emails are open. Let us know what you think about this documentary if you have a suggestion for another one as well. But yeah, Elaine, take us out.
Stay interesting.